Hi everybody and welcome to my Q&A today, where I answer your questions live on how to cope with your breakup during isolation and lockdown. Now, I know that so many of you right now are going through really, really challenging times. I've had so many emails and messages over the weekend, and I know that especially the warm weather and the news and lots of things have put a lot of pressure on a lot of you, and you're finding it difficult. So I wanted to address some of those questions for you today. Obviously, anybody that's on here live with me now, please, whether you're on YouTube or on Instagram, do drop your questions in. Hi, Suzanne. Do drop your questions in so I can answer them for you, because that's why I'm here. So I'll drop your questions in and I can answer them live while we're on the chat. And also I will work through some of the emails that I've got in as well today, so that I can help you as much as I can. Now, I had a full busy weekend because I had clients this weekend, because a lot of you had asked me if I could support you at the weekend, because I know the weekends are really challenging for a lot of you. That's when you can't get hold of maybe a therapist or your lawyer and things like that, and it can be really overwhelming. So I often work at weekends if I can fit that into my schedule. So I've been working this weekend, and I know one of the challenges that people have found is just dealing with their exes during lockdown, and people just not being very kind. And I guess you would expect, wouldn't you, during lockdown that people would be kinder and more respectful. But I think for a lot of people, it's gone the other way, and actually it's brought out the worst. And in some cases, that difficult behaviour has escalated and been really stressful and difficult to cope with. So you're not alone if you're going through that. I know a lot of people out there are. My advice, as it always is to do the right thing. So rise above it. If you're doing the right thing, then at least you've got that to fall back on. I know that's not always easy. In fact, to be honest, doing the right thing is really the easiest option. And it's usually the hardest one. But at least if you can do the right thing, then you can always look back on this time as some time when you did the right thing, no matter what. Okay, so if you've got that in the back of your mind, I think that really helps you. Okay, so I'm going to go through some of the questions we've got in today. The first one is, everything I read says I need to meet up with a guy I'm talking to online as soon as possible. I think this is from someone who's dating and who is sort of in the middle of conversations and chat going backwards and forwards with somebody. And thank you, by the way, for those of you who I know signed up on dating apps this weekend from our conversations last week. And I do want to know how you've got on. I know someone actually contacted me over the weekend to say that they met someone already quite nice and they were having a few chats, and already, whether it was long-term or not, she was having quite a lot of fun just chatting to someone, and it boosted her confidence. So thank you for that. And any other feedback, do drop it on a DM or in the chat if you did it at the weekend and actually were brave enough to join up on the dating app. But this lady here says, everything I read says I need to meet up with a guy I'm talking to online ASAP. I'm not sure what you're reading. That one worries me when it says I'm reading online. Well, what are you reading? I don't know. So maybe if you're in the chat here, just drop me down what exactly you're reading. And I would normally agree, but I really enjoy talking to him and almost don't want to ruin it by meeting up. Aha. Interesting. Don't want to ruin it by meeting up. So are you actually talking about physically meeting up or FaceTiming? He feels the same. He feels the same. Okay. So again, this is tricky with email. So I'm reading as a coach into this, and I think he feels the same. What, that he doesn't want to meet up because he doesn't want to ruin it, or that he really likes you. And we have spoken about a lot of very personal stuff, past traumas, etc. Okay, so again, it's great that you've had this bonding physically. Okay, oh, hello. So yes, so you want to meet up physically. So how long have you been talking to this guy? How long have you been talking to him? How long has this been going on? Is it like 8 weeks of lockdown, or is this like years? Just give me a bit of a steer on where you're at on that. So he feels the same, and we have spoken about a lot of very personal stuff, past traumas, etc. But I know they say there's more chance of disappointment the longer you leave it. Who's they? I'm torn between my gut and what Google's. Google. Okay, well, that classic font of all knowledge. Online about 4 weeks. Okay, so right. So if you were here with me and I was coaching you, there's a couple of red flags that I would bring to your attention with this. Then it would flag up in my head. Number one, you obviously have some connection here. Have you spoken face to face, like FaceTime? Have you done that? It's been online, I guess you have. So I think that you've got to trust your own instinct and do what you feel is right for you. Forget what everyone else is saying to you. Forget what the internet says. What do you want to do? You know, and maybe this is Mr. Right now. It's not Mr. Right. You don't know. I mean, I'm slightly concerned that you've bonded over. There's no chemistry in real life. Okay, so she doesn't want to ruin it if there's no chemistry in real life. Okay, well, I mean, what if? You can what if all over yourself and you don't know. I mean, at least then that's one guy that you've had a chat with and you didn't feel it. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. At least you know, so you can move on, right? Hi, Nadine. How did it go on Sunday? I want to know. But yes, no, feel it to heal it. Look, I know that you like this guy, so you've got to have fun. It's about getting your sparkle back. It's about you being in control. Like, ultimately, not everybody's going to be the Mr. Right. So I've talked about this a lot, about not putting that pressure on yourself. This guy has to be perfect. Otherwise what? What's going to happen? Are you going to be destroyed? No, but you know, for 4 weeks. 4 weeks. Like, that intensity isn't there. And if you don't have the chemistry, yeah, it might be a bit disappointing. But, you know, ultimately, you might find that you do. And then if you hadn't tried, you would never have known. So don't cut your nose off to spite your face. And really, you're in your own way. Now, I know why you're doing it, because you're trying to protect yourself from getting hurt or being rejected, maybe. And well, unfortunately, you can't wrap yourself up in cotton wool. What you can do is you can explore before you meet him. So have you done your ideal partner exercise? Because that will filter out a lot of these things. If he's got any of your 5 must not haves on that ideal partner exercise, then you're out. Okay, so you may not even discover those till weeks down the line, but at least you've got them and you've done them, and that's going to be really helpful. Hi guys. So I just think, okay, so just haven't felt this connection for years. Great, that's great. So what have you learned from this? You've learned that you can feel that connection. So you've still got it, right? You've still got that fire inside you. You just haven't felt it before, but that's great. So you're feeling it now. And you might be able to feel it with lots of different people now that you've unlocked those gates, you know. You may be able to find, actually, this is the first of many. So you don't need to put all your eggs in one basket. In fact, that's something I always talk about when you're dating. The rules of dating now are very different to years ago, you know, when maybe before you were in a long-term relationship. You know, you do have to have 4 or 5 chats going on with different people, so that, you know, if one doesn't work out, you've got all this pressure, which is what we're seeing, guys, right? We're seeing that this lady's really suffering because she's put all her eggs in one basket, and this is everything. So what we need is a few backup options, and not to put your hopes onto this, because the likelihood of working out, who knows? I mean, if you've done the ideal partner exercise, which you say you have, then, and he still ticks all the boxes, and you haven't permanently strapped on some rose-tinted glasses, then great. It might be just a chemistry thing. It might be one of those relationships which is just based on pure chemistry and physical attraction. And that's okay too. Okay, if you ruin it, well, you're worried you're going to ruin it. And he was with someone for 12 years before. Hard not to think I'll live up to that. Well, guess what? He's not with her now. So it didn't work out. So you're better, you're already winning with that one. Hi, Gary. Hi, 10 times 11. Yeah, but the thing is, you know, you can't compare yourself to somebody else. And also, he's not with her for whatever reasons. Maybe she left him, but whatever. She's hurt him maybe, or he's left her. But forget that. You are you. And it's not, I think the mindset that we get into is are they going to like me? Am I going to live up to what they need? Am I everything they need? That's the wrong way to think about it, okay? Because the important thing is, are they going to be good enough for you? Are they what you deserve? It's a two-way street. It's not all about what you can do for them, because that is the recipe for a disaster. If you're going in going, okay, I might ruin it, I might this, I might that. No, it's got to be right. And if it isn't right, so in your words, if you ruin it, then it wasn't meant to be anyway. Because if he really likes you and is committed, then it doesn't matter what you do. If he really cares and likes you, then he's going to go with it. So just got to be flipping that in your head a bit about you being on the back foot and he's got to pick you and he's got to choose you. No. You've got to choose him too. It's a two-way street. You work together. You know, and if it is just chemistry, it might last for a couple of months. Great. But that, you see how just that one relationship will help you boost your confidence and feel a bit more in control, and you'll go down those dating paths again. So you'll be learning how to do all this again. So you'll be like, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go again. So if it doesn't work out, you've got the practice in, you've got more confidence, and you can just go do it. And you'll learn from what hasn't worked and what you sort of either didn't take on board when you said it the first time, or some signs that you missed or whatever, or just that it wasn't quite right. But that's okay. You can have lots of different relationships. You can have lots and lots of different relationships. You have, one that's chemistry based, and then that might fizzle out. And then you might have one that's more friendship based, which is great, but you just don't have the connection. And then you might have someone that kind of almost ticks the boxes, but maybe they're not ready yet, or they live too far away. This is part of the dating game, which is why I suggest you have more than one person that you're chatting to on these dating apps. Because if you just get fixated on one, and again, you're filling in the gaps in your mind, remember, because you don't know, if you haven't met them, all those bits about them, you're filling in those gaps and sort of making them up, because that's all you've got to go on. It's normal. But the reality is, when you meet them, they might not be like that. They might not quite add up together like that. They might not quite sort of resemble that in real life. So I think it's really important that when you're online, you just take everything with a bit of pinch of salt. Well, okay, yeah, well, let's see. Just very open-minded. Let's see. Sounds good. Let's see. Sounds good. Let's see. Absolutely. So Suzanne says, it's scary. Just try to have fun with it and relax. I'm purely dating and having a great time. Yay, Suzanne. I'm glad. Let's see, Nadine. I definitely have that block that whatever I did wrong, to make my ex cheat, other men would see the same. Honey, you did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong, and I know your story. And you are beautiful. But women, hello, hear me, please, and men. But please take this message on board. If someone cheats on you, it is not your fault, okay? And believe me, I know this. I went down that path with my husband, and as you know, he met somebody else she's extremely beautiful. She still is today. She's 12 years younger than me. Very different personality-wise, but it's very hard when your partner cheats on you to kind of get back up on track and start to process. It will naturally give you a bit of a kicking for your confidence, obviously. However, it's not something you did wrong. It's not. It's them. They made those choices. Maybe they decided that you guys weren't compatible in their head. Maybe the other person they felt at the time was more compatible with them. Maybe they've made a biggest mistake of their life and they're going to live to regret it. But you're not responsible for their actions. The only person that you're responsible for the actions for is, you. It's only you. You are responsible for you and nobody else. Nobody else is responsible for our lives. And that's the challenging bit to get your head around when someone cheats on you. It's their responsibility. Okay, maybe you could have improved the communication way back when now you look back with hindsight, things started to drift off course. But that's a lesson you learn, which is why this coaching information I'm sharing with you is so important. Don't keep making the same mistakes. When you go dating with this guy, if there's something that's not quite right, just say, you know what, when you did that, it kind of made me feel a bit sad, or I don't know, like less than. Was that your intention? Call them on it. Okay, don't bury it, don't stuff it, don't take a brick out of your wall of boundary of what is acceptable behavior. Call them on it. That doesn't mean you're like a hard taskmaster who's making their life an absolute nightmare because they don't open every door for you or whatever it is that you expect. But I'm talking about the serious issues which you can see from past experience, that maybe they did something that actually may hurt your feelings, or maybe it wasn't compatible with your values and beliefs, or and just be open and say, you know what, do you always talk to waitresses like that, or is that or just look and see and then call them on it. Because if it's not right, guys, you want to get out ASAP. You don't want to drag this on and then get out later, because that's more heartache and pain for you. And the idea of having these boundaries and being more self-confident, just to call people on their crap of what they're doing, is to just safety check where you're at. It's protection for you. So this is what I want for you. And also, it increases your chances of finding a relationship faster, doesn't it? Because if you are calling people on that and saying, look, this isn't right, I'm not comfortable with this, or did you mean that? Is that what you did the other day? It's just been bugging me. Can we talk about that? If they suddenly go, well, it's your problem, what are you talking about? Oh my God, you're such a pain. Then imagine further down the line when you've got serious issues that maybe come up in life that you've got to deal with together. If that's how they're treating you now in the honeymoon period, you're out. So it's okay to have those conversations, which maybe push you to breaking point in the early days, because you don't want to stuff them down, because isn't that what we did before? Do you see what I mean? I don't want you to be scared to be on your own, because you're amazing on your own and you're perfect just the way you are. You don't need anyone to complete you or to make you happy. You control that. You control what goes on in your head, okay? There was a really good quote the other day I saw by Richard Bandler, actually. Do you know him? He's the guy that created NLP, which is really the foundation of a lot of the techniques that I use today when I'm coaching and that I'm sharing with you. And he's quite an amazing guy. And he said something about when you have a problem, if you laugh about it, like, proper laugh and smile and joke about, not joke as in belittle the seriousness of it, but just laugh. It changes you chemically, and it changes chemically your connection with that problem. Now, I know that's not always easy. I know that. I know it's not always easy to do that. But if you just try it, so there's something that's really hard, or you're worried about dating, you go, I'm so worried about it. I'm so worried about dating. It actually changes you. You might look a bit of a wally, but at the end of the day, it physically changes you. And I want you to play with these tools just to see how comfortable you feel, okay? Because actually doing something different, if you're worrying about someone, just laugh out loud. It'll be a fake laugh, obviously. I don't know if any of you have seen that laughter yoga, where they sort of do these positions and then they go, I only saw it because they were doing it with Phil and Holly one morning, and I was getting a cup of coffee and I saw it on, and then Holly was like, this is all fake laughing though. She's like, ha, ha, ha. And then by the end of it, her and Phil were like rolling around, crying with laughter. And it was, and they completely sort of changed their mood. So, laughter, forced laughter actually can be a really positive thing. So if you're scared about dating, just start laughing about it. Just automatically it dials down those intensity of feelings. So try it. So it's fun until you like them, and then there's something to do. Oh, come on. Yes, okay. There is true, and I'm saying come on because you keep getting in your own way. You need to get out of your own way. And if you like them, great. But if it doesn't work, it's not meant to be. So you've got out quickly. You've got to shift your thinking to I like them. I've got a lot to lose. So I like them. I'm going to enjoy this. They're going to be the best me. Okay, you're going to be the best you. You've got all this to offer. You're obviously an extremely kind, caring, warm-hearted person. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be happy. But if you close the doors off I'm in a happy situation, I've met someone, and then, now I'm going to, instead of being happy I've met someone, I'm going to worry that I'm going to lose them. Do you see how you're setting yourself up to never be happy? And who's controlling that? You. So all the single people who are looking for someone are like desperate to I really want to meet someone. When I meet someone, I'll be really cool and happy. You're lucky enough to have a connection with somebody. Great. So when it starts working well, enjoy it. But be aware. That's the difference. Being aware and sort of saying, okay, how's this going? Checking in, calling on certain behaviors. That is a healthy way of just protecting yourself. It's not sort of jumping in, rose tinted glasses strapped on, right, this is going to work no matter what. I'm never going to be alone again because I'm going to sucker myself in limpet mode to this poor person. That's not going to work. Operating out of fear is not a strong position, and it is more likely to be brittle and break. So what we want to do is put you in a stronger, more empowered situation where you are happy, you're enjoying it. He's going to like the fact that you're happy and enjoying it. If you're constantly worried and, oh gosh, I better do this and better, that's not bringing out the best you, honey. And I want you to be able to be truly yourself, because you'll only be happy in a relationship if you're truly yourself. Now, of course, when I say that, I'm saying, still make an effort. When you go on the date, you're obviously going to dress up, put your best foot forward and tell your funny stories and all the rest of it. Bonding over negative past traumas is look, there's two schools of thought on that. And I'm sort of, it depends on the people and it depends on the situation. But actually, you want to bond on happy things. You want a relationship that's built on good things you have in common, but also someone that understands you. Now, if you've got that understanding from him, he's had tough times, you've had tough times, both of you are coming together, you're going to be kind and nurturing to each other. Great. But not to retell the sad stories and connect on the pain, because that is not a recipe for a successful relationship. That's in the past. You are where you are. You're both out dating. You might both be nervous. You might both be, a little bit worried. That's all normal. But to stop yourself from doing something because of that, it'll be a tragedy. To close doors to yourself once you've got so excited and found somebody that you actually connect with would be another tragedy. So it's important. Too true, but surely it's better to have fun and perhaps get a little disappointed here and there than hide away and not feel it at all. Yes, well said, Suzanne. Okay, hi, Yolanda. Love laughter yogi here. It's kind of embarrassing, I think. I think that's the point, but then you sort of break through that. I'm really going to try to do this. I knew the wall I built to, but get her is also keeping joy out. Yes, it is. It is. It is. You're so right. We do laugh a lot too. Great. Okay, well, that's what you need. You need a lot of laughter, a lot of connection. Before you chat to him on the phone, I would suggest you write a list of some fun things to talk about. You know, maybe some funny videos, maybe, I don't know, some funny stories, something lighter. So you've always got something lighter. And I know prepping before you see someone's a little bit kind of awkward, but actually, you know, once you've done it a few times, it'll be easier. But I just want you to shift your focus when you're with him onto some happy things and some jokes and things like that, and try to go less to the things that you may be bonded on that are a bit negative and more towards some of the positive things. Because ultimately, you want this to be a healthy relationship. And it's okay to be scared. It's okay to say, gosh, I'm nervous about this, or this is, you know, I like you, so this is, you know, I want it to, you know, I'm excited. But, you know, we're all adults. So how many relationships have you ever had that you go into and after a while you go, yeah, this isn't quite right, or you're forcing something to work that isn't as smooth as you want it to be? But if you've done the ideal partner exercise, great, because then you know what your safety net is. You know if any of those warning signs come up, you just deploy your parachute when you're out the door, okay? And you need to be strong enough to do that, because you can't stay in a toxic relationship and keep repeating the same patterns. So if you've got that, you can relax a little bit and say, look, I'm here to have some fun. Take the pressure off of this is my next husband. It's just a bit of fun, okay? And then that fun could get more serious when those roots grow. But you can't force roots to grow. They take time. And that takes experience and listening and seeing how someone responds. You know, if they're asking about you, if the focus is on you, if they're nurturing for you. So all those things are important. But I think you should go for it, stop trying and do it. Because if I said to you, pick up this button, go on, pick it up. Try and pick it up. If you try and you actually pick it up, that's not trying, that's doing. So trying means you're just like constantly failing. So don't constantly fail, just do it. And then let us all know how it goes, because we're all rooting for you and we want it to be great. But, you know, also, if it doesn't work out, then at least you know, and you're out sooner and you're out quicker and you've got a bit more confidence, because you know that someone is attracted to you and someone likes you and someone wants to spend time with you. So that's great. And if that doesn't work out, maybe it doesn't, you know, maybe he doesn't look anything like his pictures or whatever, then then you can get out too. So I think you're doing all the right things, and you just need to take a deep breath and allow yourself, give yourself permission to be happy, to have some fun, to have some no strings attached, sort of just freedom in your life where you make your own decisions without fear. You know, you will deal with whatever happens. Look what you've been through and look where you are now. If you can cope with that, something that doesn't work out with 4 weeks, a guy you met on the internet is nothing. It is a walk in the park, okay? You can nail that. And you've got us now as well, so you can jump on and tell us and we can support you. But you can do this, you know, and you have to if you want to get out there and be happy again. If you stay at home, I don't know about you, but the only person that ever knocks on my door is the postman. So if you want a date, you've got to get online like you've been doing. You've got to go out. So go do it, girl. Go do it and keep us posted. I really want to know how you get on. Now, anyone else got any questions while I'm here going through these things? Because that was a really good question. It did actually pick up a lot of points to some of the other ones that we were talking about today that I'd selected to answer. So another thing I was thinking about is something that's really powerful, an exercise to do when you're feeling down and anxious and a little bit worried about things, is we talked before about writing a gratitude list, and I like that, but I really like this idea of writing a list of 50 people. It's quite a lot, but 50 people who have positively influenced your life in some way. Now, that could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be a writer, it could be someone, a celebrity on television, it could be someone that you know or someone that you used to know, it could be someone that's alive now, it could be someone that died years ago. But writing a list of people that have made your world a better place, you know, that have touched your life and made it better in some way. Maybe you learned something from it, or maybe you grew personally from that experience. Or maybe it was something they said or a quote or a comment that stuck with you. You thought, oh, that's good. And then it's changed the way you thought. I would like you to have a think about that, because writing a list of all those people that have positively improved your world makes a massive difference, actually. It's a really powerful exercise. And it's something that I've been working on with clients, and just actually broadening their world just to look at all the positive influences, because when we go through a breakup, we become very myopic and focused on the one person that's caused us pain. By the way, this red, I've been doing science experiments, homeschooling with my son. We actually used red food colouring this morning, so I got covered in it. But yeah, I think it's really important to open up that myopic perspective that we get, where everything's about our ex and the sad story and the past and the pain, and start to look outside the box at all the other people that have positively influenced your life. Maybe when you were a child, maybe when you were a teenager, maybe when you were at school or college or university, or maybe from a job, maybe it was a boss that inspired you, or maybe it was a movie or an actor or an actress or a politician, God forbid, or somebody that came into your world. It could be somebody who just showed you enormous kindness. It could be, I remember when I went on holiday, when I first, my son was very young when I got divorced. So he was 2 when we were separated, and I love traveling, and that's something I love doing. But obviously traveling on my own with a very young child can be a bit daunting, especially the places I like to go, because I like to scuba dive. So I like to go out somewhere where there's, sort of quite deserted. So the first couple of times I went on holiday, I didn't go to those places, but then I plucked up the courage. I went, no, I'm going to do this. And I went out there, and I went to lots of different places in the end. But one of them I went to was the Maldives, and we arrived, and you're sort of really in the middle of nowhere. It's like 3 flights from here. So it's, you really are on your own with a small child. It's kind of a responsibility. It probably doesn't really hit you till you're there. But one of the people that had a massive impact on my life was the restaurant manager of that hotel, because he was an absolute sweetie. And him and his wife, they worked in the restaurant. He was the manager and she was a waitress, and they'd obviously worked there for years. But when they saw me come in, my son, first of all, everyone says, "Oh, table for 3." Like, no. Or, "Is your husband coming?" Hope not. Let me know if he does, because I'm leaving. Just sort of make it into a joke. But, that's constantly the expectation. When you go on holiday to places like that, people expect you not to be on your own. And he obviously picked up on this quite quickly, and he made it such a lovely holiday. He would always make sure that everyone knew that it was just the 2 of us. Not like it. I mean, I'm totally happily divorced. But just the whole explaining thing, and then, "Where's Daddy?" to my son, and him going, "Oh no, Daddy lives in England, and it's complicated." So no, but it's one of those things, right? So he made it really, really easy for me. Like, he just made the whole thing easy, and he looked after my son, and he made sure we were okay, and he did little extras for us. Now, okay, in my 50 people, he figures on my list, because there was a time in my life where I was nervous and I was uncomfortable at times, and he took away some of that pain. And I didn't know he was a stranger to me before I got there. So it could be somebody like that that's influenced you. But I think it's really important to have a think about all those people, because what it does is it just blows the doors off this myopic approach we often have when we're going through a breakup, and just makes us feel grateful and loved in lots of different times of our life, and shows us we can get through those tough times, come out the other side. Okay, Suzanne is asking, if someone is in an abusive relationship, brackets neighbour, but they haven't talked to you about it, is there anything you can do without the abused person feeling exposed or vulnerable? Well, yeah, I mean, it depends on your relationship with them. I mean, if you can sort of have a chat to them and explain that maybe a little bit about that, then that could be useful for them. You could always refer them to a charity, or give them a book, or refer them to a link online, if that's easier. So some of Richard Grannon's videos, or there's lots of books out there. I mean, they're not all great, to be fair, but I mean, Richard Grannon really nails it. Or I've got free videos on my website that explain the red signs, the red flags. If you are in a relationship, am I in an abusive relationship? They're on my website, they're free. But I suppose you could do that. I mean, I think, a lot of times people don't know. And one of the difficulties of, you can't tell them, because unless I'm not a neurologist or a niatrist, but if someone comes to me being a survivor, I know what that is like. So I can spot the signs. But I don't diagnose people. So you've got to be careful, because informing someone they might be in an abusive relationship can be difficult, because quite often people fall apart at that stage. they feel like an idiot, they feel embarrassed, they feel like a victim rather than this is something something that's happened to them. It can be very difficult. So you've got to be able to manage all that. So yeah, Suzanne, I don't know if you're coming to my domestic abuse training I'm running starting on Wednesday, but that would be useful if you are thinking about having that call, because I know you're a coach, an awesome coach as well. So if you can hear violence, you need to call the police. If it's mental and emotional, the best thing you can do is work on the friendship and build the trust between you. Great advice, absolutely, yeah. I mean, obviously, if it's violent, you do need to get the police involved, phone the local charity, say you're worried, phone social services if there's children involved, those kind of things. Oh, yes, your website. I forgot about that link. And that is what I don't want her to feel. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's like feel it to heal it. Very wisely said. If there are obvious signs of abuse and it's dangerous and screaming, I mean, obviously, call the police for that. Call the domestic abuse helpline, ask their advice on those things. Just say, is there any support you could send around? But obviously, if they're still living with the perpetrator, it can be very, very difficult. So it might be a case of just building up that trust or being able to have a conversation, just saying, look, is everything okay? Because kind of get the sense maybe it isn't quite all right. I just want you to know I'm there for you. So I would start with that. It's a very nice thing to do though, Suzanne, if you can, is to support people going through tough times, especially during isolation. This is when things are starting to escalate and relationships are really starting to fray now. I mean, we're like 8 weeks or 9 weeks? I don't even know now. Like, it's been a long time. So the pressure cooker is really starting to bubble over, and the challenges with coercive control and emotionally abusive relationships. It's a fine line, guys, between that and violence. People say, oh, he's never been violent before, or she sometimes, but it's a fine line, and there can always be a first time. Quite often when you put someone in this kind of pressure cooker, boom, that's when things like this can happen, which is what we're seeing. And actually what's being reported in the press, we're seeing a lot more of that now. So yes, be supportive, be there, be kind, but just tread carefully, because you don't want them to overreact to that. And you don't want them to start confronting their ex about things, because that can increase the danger. So there's all sorts of different things you've got to navigate with that. So do check out my training and have a look at that. But yeah, hopefully you're joining us for that. Okay, well, do keep dropping me your questions. And for those of you who have answered questions for, I hope you found that helpful today. You can DM me, you can email me direct, sarah@davidson.com, if you'd like a coaching session with me direct, or you've got any other questions, or you wanted to train to become a breakup and divorce coach, as I know some people on here are doing, like 10 times 11 is on today as well. And he is an awesome coach too. So lots of people coming through, which is great. So thank you. I hope this has really helped. Stay safe, and I will see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock.